My husband was sleeping with his company's intern. He actually smuggled her into our apartment inside a giant suitcase just for some sick, kinky thrill. In my past life, I woke up in the middle of the night to get a glass of water, and caught them red-handed. When I confronted them, my husband panicked. He pushed me out of our 12th floor window. I fell to my death instantly. After I died, he used my inheritance to marry that intern. But when I opened my eyes again, I was back to the exact day my husband dragged that massive suitcase home. He looked at me nervously and warned, "There's dangerous, hazardous material inside. It's highly toxic. Don't touch it under any circumstances." I nodded obediently, but the second he walked out the door, I called a junk removal service and sent the suitcase straight to the dump. A worker asked me, "What's in here?" "It's incredibly heavy." I raised an eyebrow and said, "Just hazardous waste. Take it to the incinerator and destroy it completely." Seeing Carter drag that familiar oversized suitcase through the door, I realized I had been reborn. Before I could even speak, Carter barked his warning, "Don't touch the suitcase." Seriously, in my past life, when he said this, I didn't ask questions. I stupidly assumed it was some confidential equipment for his work. Looking at the absurdly massive suitcase now, I realized how laughably naive I used to be. Amber, his young intern, was hiding inside right now. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms. Forcing a warm smile, I spoke, "Why can't I touch it?" "What's inside, Carter?" I reached out, pretending to help him lift it. Carter shoved my hand away, his tone growing sharp and irritated. "Are you deaf?" I said, "Don't touch it. It's highly toxic chemical waste from the lab. If it leaks and gets exposed to light, it releases lethal gas. You'll die if you breathe it in. I'll handle the disposal later. Just leave it alone." Toxic waste. Honestly, that was a pretty accurate description of her. I sneered inwardly, but put on a terrified face and scrambled backward. Why would you bring something so dangerous home? What if it leaks? Seeing that I bought his lie, Carter's face filled with smug satisfaction. "Relax. I know exactly how to handle it. Just mind your own business." He heavily emphasized the word handle, and casually tapped the side of the suitcase with his foot. The suitcase trembled slightly. It looked like whoever was inside was trying desperately to hold in a laugh. My eyes turned icy cold. Bringing your mistress home in a suitcase for a thrill? They really thought of me as a prop in their little bedroom game. The phantom pain of my bones shattering against the concrete in my past life surged through my body. I looked up at Carter. "Then you'd better make sure you handle it thoroughly, Carter." Carter let out his first genuine laugh since entering the house. Whistling a tune, he dragged the heavy suitcase into the study. That night, I lay in bed and pretended to be fast asleep. Before long, Carter slipped out of bed, creeping out of the room like a shadow. The light in the study flickered on, following the faint glow shining through the door crack. I walked barefoot down the hallway. I pressed my back against the wall, holding my breath. Amber's whiny voice drifted out of the room. "You took forever, Carter." I was practically suffocating in that stupid bag. Carter laughed. "Hey, you were the one who wanted a thrill. Wasn't it exciting?" Amber giggled coyly. "It's only exciting when you're making me feel good." In my past life, I had woken up to get water, noticed the light, and heard their flirtatious whispering. My mind had gone completely blank. I threw the door open and saw Amber and Carter naked, wrapped around each other. I lost my mind, screaming and hitting them. Carter pretended he wanted to explain while backing me toward the window. Then he suddenly slipped behind me and shoved me out. Afterward, Carter bribed a shady psychiatrist to falsify a medical report claiming I had severe clinical depression and had jumped to commit suicide. My fist clenched so tight my knuckles turned white. The memory of my bones breaking screamed in my head, making my whole body shake. Carter and Amber's voices drifted out again. "You're so much fun, Amber. Claire is like a block of wood in bed. Every time I suggest something new, she acts like it's disgusting. If I didn't need her money, I would have dumped her a long time ago." Amber whispered, "If you want her money so bad, why don't you just poison her? There are drugs online that leave no trace. Been slipping stuff into her vitamins for 6 months, but the bitch hasn't had any reaction. I think I got scammed by the dealer. Besides, I saw on the news that toxicology reports can detect that stuff. Now I don't want to risk it." Carter had been poisoning me for 6 months. I looked back toward the kitchen. On the counter sat the daily vitamin supplements. Carter had told me they were custom-made organic vitamins he imported from Europe to help with my skin. But I had always been skeptical of supplements, so I never actually swallowed them. To keep him from getting suspicious, I had always pretended to take them and flush them down the sink when he wasn't looking. It turned out those were actually slow-acting poison. Amber's voice rose, sounding annoyed. "Now, so when are you going to make us official? I'm telling you, Carter, I don't have patience. Plenty of guys are begging to take me out." Carter chuckled wickedly. "Don't worry, I found a doctor who's willing to sign a fake depression diagnosis for Clara. I'm meeting him tomorrow morning. So what if she has depression? So what? Have you looked at our apartment windows? The glass panels go all the way down to the floor, and the safety railing is barely knee-high. If she's standing by the window and I give her a little push from behind, what do you think the police will say when they find the diagnosis?" Silence fell over the room for a second, followed by their giggling. My skin crawled. So he didn't push me out of the window in my past life just because I caught them. He had planned to kill me all along. My sudden interruption had just forced his hand before he could secure the fake medical files. I crept back to bed, staring at the ceiling in the dark, my mind racing. An hour later, Carter slipped back into bed. Seeing my eyes closed, he let out a quiet, dismissive snort. Tomorrow morning, Carter was going to meet that corrupt doctor. He would definitely take the suitcase with him when he left. Now that I knew his entire plan, he wouldn't get another chance to hurt me. But what should I do? Just get a divorce? A memory of my body hitting the pavement echoed in my ears, giving me a splitting headache. No, a divorce was way too easy on them. I wanted them to rot. Carter was exhausted within minutes. His heavy snoring filled the room. I checked my phone. It was 4 a.m. Carter's appointment with the doctor was at 7 a.m. He had mentioned the doctor warned him not to be late, or the clinic would be too busy to fake the files safely. I quietly got out of bed and closed the bedroom door behind me. I went to the walk-in closet, grabbed piles of clothes and shoes, and dumped them all over the living room floor. I threw all the sofa cushions and covers on top. I went to the kitchen. I emptied the trash cans, spilled spices, flour and rice and scattered rotten fruits and vegetables from the fridge over the pile. Finally, I went to the study. Ignoring the suitcase, I dragged dozens of heavy books off the shelves and scattered them across the floor. Looking at the chaotic mess, I went down to the building's dumpster, dragged up 3 bags of actual garbage, tore them open, and scattered the filthy contents everywhere. A horrific, nauseating stench immediately filled the apartment. Once everything was ruined, I put on a face mask and sat right in the middle of the trash pile. At 6 a.m., the bedroom door opened. Carter stumbled out, half asleep. The moment he saw the living room, his eyes nearly popped out of his skull. "Clara, what the hell are you doing? Jesus Christ, what is that smell? Did you take a bath in a dumpster?" I wiped some sweat from my forehead. Looking exhausted, I woke up early and couldn't fall back asleep. I figured I'd do some deep cleaning. I wanted to empty the trash bins, but I tripped and spilled everything. "Carter, I didn't realize summer trash could rot so fast." Carter grimaced, his eyes darting frantically from the study door to the front exit. The pathway was completely blocked. If he wanted to get the suitcase out, he would have to carry it. But the piles of garbage and heavy books were over a foot high in some places. There was no way he could carry a heavy 110-pound suitcase over all that clutter by himself. Carter was losing his mind with rage. "You turned the apartment into a landfill. I can't even roll my suitcase out." I blinked innocently. "Oh, did you need to take that suitcase today? I had no idea." "Carter, why don't you help me clean up? We can finish before noon." Carter checked his watch, his face twisting in panic. "I don't have time. I have to leave by 7. That's 10 minutes from now." I nodded. "Okay, go do your thing. I'll finish cleaning before you get back. Actually, can you call a junk removal service for me? It'll be much faster if they haul all of this away." Carter, desperate to leave, nodded quickly and pulled out his phone. "Hey, Junkbusters, I need an emergency pickup at Evergreen Crest Apartments, Unit 1202. There's a massive pile of trash. Please send a crew up immediately." I tilted my head and looked at him. "Are you sure there's nothing in here you want to keep?" Carter yelled in frustration, covering his nose. "It smells like rot. Just have them throw everything away. Don't leave a single thing." I smiled gently. "Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to hear." Carter slammed the front door behind him, muttering, "Ruined my whole morning." Unbelievable. Ruined his morning? Oh honey, the show hasn't even started yet. Once the door clicked shut, I took off my mask and gloves. I stood up from the pile of garbage. I walked over to the study door, leaning against the frame, staring intently at the massive suitcase. Faint, muffled snoring was coming from inside. In my past life, when Carter pushed me out the window, Amber had poked her head out to wave at me. "Old lady, Amber, you never would have guessed that right now you and I are the only ones left in this apartment." The doorbell rang. 2 muscular junk removal workers stood at the door, staring at the chaos inside in utter shock. Are we throwing all of this away, ma'am?" I nodded yes. My husband said to get rid of everything, leave nothing behind. The workers began making trips back and forth, clearing a path from the study to the front door. I walked into the study and grabbed the handle of the suitcase. Amber's muffled, sleepy voice came from inside. "Carter, are we finally leaving?" I whispered quietly. She fell silent, instantly thinking it was her boyfriend playing along. I wheeled the heavy suitcase out of the study, into the elevator, and down to the parking lot where their giant junk truck was parked. The radio on the truck was blaring a loud commercial. "Got junk? Call Junkbusters. We handle all your hazardous and unwanted waste." One of the workers walked down with the last load of trash, looked at the suitcase in my hand, and called out, "Ma'am, this suitcase looks brand new. Are you sure you want to toss it?" I nodded solemnly yes. "Contains highly hazardous biological waste. Please be extremely careful not to open it. My husband warned me that if it's exposed to light, it will release lethal gas." The worker nodded seriously. He called his partner over and together they hoisted the heavy suitcase and threw it into the back of the garbage compactor truck. The suitcase tumbled into the dark steel container. I thought I heard a muffled, high-pitched shriek, but with the loud commercial music playing, I couldn't be sure. I went back upstairs, mopped the floors and used an untraceable burner phone to contact a digital media agency based in Europe. Once everything was set, I poured myself a cup of tea and sat comfortably on the couch with a book. At 9 a.m., the electronic lock beeped. Carter walked in, humming a cheerful tune. I looked up at him. "You look happy." Carter gave me a smug, knowing smile. "I'm about to get rid of a massive burden. Of course I'm happy. Is that so? Well, congratulations." I looked back down at my book. Carter practically skipped toward the study. The second he opened the door, his humming stopped. He rushed inside, tearing the room apart, but found nothing. "Clara, where's my suitcase? Where did you put it?" Carter ran back to the living room, sweat pouring down his face. I took a slow sip of my tea. "Oh, you mean the suitcase with the hazardous waste?" The junk disposal crew came. I had them take it away to be incinerated. Carter's face went completely white. "You had it incinerated?" I smiled. "Yes." His lips trembled. "You don't understand. That suitcase contained hazardous waste," I interrupted sweetly. "You told me yourself." Carter stared at me. For the first time since my rebirth, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. Good. I wanted him to feel it. I stood up, walked toward him, and deliberately tilted my head. "You told the junk workers to throw everything away, remember?" "I didn't mean the suitcase. You specifically said, don't leave a single thing." Carter's expression collapsed. I smiled wider. "You should really be more careful with your words, Carter." He suddenly grabbed his phone. "Call them. Call the junk company." "Oh, I already did." His head snapped toward me. "What?" I called them back. I handed him my phone. On the screen was an email confirmation. Item received. Disposal process initiated. Carter's entire body went rigid. "Cancel it." "I can't." "Why?" "Because you signed the authorization." His eyes widened. "You used my name?" "No." I leaned closer. I used yours. He stared at me in horror. I had copied his signature from dozens of documents he'd casually left around our apartment. Nothing complicated. Just enough to make sure the disposal company believed the order came directly from him. Carter began pacing. Where's the truck? Probably at the processing facility by now. We have to get it back. I laughed. Not politely. Not nervously. I laughed right in his face. Why? He froze. I wiped a tear from the corner of my eye. You're acting like someone died. Carter's face twitched. You don't understand what's inside. Oh, I understand perfectly. I walked past him. Amber is inside. Silence. Carter stopped breathing. His mouth opened. No words came out. I turned around. His expression was magnificent. Absolute terror. You knew. I shrugged. I knew everything. You and Amber have been sneaking around behind my back for months. His knees nearly buckled. And you knew about the poisoning. His face drained of color. You knew about the doctor. His hands began shaking. And you knew exactly how you planned to kill me. Carter stumbled backward. Clara, don't call me that. My smile disappeared. You lost the right to say my name when you decided my death was merely an inconvenience standing between you and my inheritance. He tried to approach me. I immediately slapped his hand away. Don't touch me. For once Carter obeyed. I walked to the kitchen counter and picked up the bottle of vitamins. He stared at it. I twisted the cap off. These. His eyes darted away. I laughed again. You really thought I swallowed these every day? His jaw dropped. You've been poisoning me for 6 months, I said. And I never swallowed a single pill. Carter looked sick. I tossed the bottle into the trash. Your master plan was pathetic. Then his phone rang. He answered immediately. Hello. A frantic voice came through. Mr. Hayes? This is Dr. Whitmore's office. You didn't show up for your appointment. Carter froze. I smiled. He looked at me. You called them? No. I leaned against the counter. I did something much better. I opened my tablet. A folder appeared on the screen. Carter Hayes, evidence. Inside were recordings, bank transfers, messages, photos, copies of the fake prescription, the poison purchase receipts, and audio recordings of Carter and Amber discussing my murder. Carter's knees finally gave out. You recorded us? I recorded enough. I walked toward him, and I didn't keep copies in one place. His face twisted with desperation. Clara, listen to me. No, please. No, I can explain. You're going to explain everything. He stared at me. To the police. His expression turned to terror. I smiled. But don't worry. I crouched in front of him. I won't send them the evidence yet. Hope flashed across his face. That was exactly what I wanted. I want you to suffer first. His hope vanished. I stood. By tomorrow morning, your company will know you attempted to use company resources to facilitate an affair with an employee. Carter's breathing became ragged. By tomorrow afternoon, your investors will receive documents showing the money you secretly transferred from company accounts. He shook his head. No. And by tomorrow night, every person who ever praised you as a respectable husband will know exactly what kind of man you are. Please. I leaned closer. You wanted my money so badly. I smiled. So I'm going to make sure you lose everything before the law takes you away. Carter lunged toward me. I stepped aside. He crashed into the sofa. You're insane. I laughed. Maybe. Then I looked directly into his eyes. But I'm alive. His face went pale. I walked toward the door. Oh, and Carter? He looked up. The police aren't the only people getting the evidence. His eyes widened. Who else? I smiled. Your wife. He stared at me. You're my wife. No. I opened the door. I was your victim. I stepped into the hallway. And now I'm your worst nightmare. Behind me, Carter screamed my name. I kept walking. For the first time in 2 lifetimes, I wasn't running from him. He was running from me. And I intended to make sure he never stopped. Carter didn't even bother pretending to care about me anymore. The moment he realized Amber might still be alive, he grabbed his keys. Where is the disposal facility? I smiled from the sofa. Why? Because Amber is in that suitcase. His voice cracked. I raised an eyebrow. Amber. He froze. Then I laughed. So now she has a name? Clara, this isn't funny. Oh, I disagree. I picked up my tea. I've been waiting for this part all morning. Carter rushed toward the door. I called after him. Don't worry. I gave the workers the paperwork. He stopped. What paperwork? The hazardous waste declaration. His face turned gray. You told them it was hazardous? You told me it was hazardous. I shrugged. I simply believed my husband. Carter stared at me for several seconds before sprinting out. I smiled. Then I opened my laptop. It was time to destroy the rest of his life. Carter reached the disposal facility 20 minutes later. He practically threw himself out of the car. Where's the suitcase? The supervisor frowned. Which suitcase? The giant black suitcase. Oh, that one. Carter grabbed his shirt. Where is it? The supervisor pointed toward a secured holding area. We flagged it because of your hazardous material declaration. Carter nearly collapsed from relief. Is it still there? Yes. He rushed forward. Open it. The supervisor stopped him. Absolutely not. You declared it contained lethal toxic material. Carter's face twisted. I lied. The supervisor stared at him. You lied. Carter realized his mistake. I mean, security officers were already approaching. Carter backed away. No, wait. You don't understand. My girlfriend is inside. Everyone went silent. The supervisor slowly lowered his clipboard. Your girlfriend? Carter swallowed. She was hiding in the suitcase. One security guard blinked. You put a person inside a hazardous waste container? Carter's face crumpled. Just open it. They finally opened the suitcase. Amber burst out, coughing and furious. Her hair was tangled, her makeup ruined, and her expensive dress was covered in dirt. The second she saw Carter, she screamed. You. Carter rushed toward her. Amber. She slapped him. Hard. You left me in a garbage truck. I didn't know. You put me in that thing. You wanted the thrill. You said we'd be together. We will. Amber stared at him. Then she laughed bitterly. You know what? She pointed at him. I don't think I want to marry a man who throws his girlfriend into a garbage truck. Carter's expression shattered. Amber, listen. No. She shoved him away. Where is Claire? Carter went silent. Amber's eyes narrowed. She did this, didn't she? Carter didn't answer. Amber immediately understood. She knew. By the time Carter returned to the apartment, I was gone. But his phone wasn't. Because I had already copied everything from it. Every message. Every transaction. Every secret conversation. Every photograph. Every disgusting little promise he'd made to Amber. I had also found something far more interesting. Carter had been stealing from his company. Not thousands. Millions. He'd been moving money through shell accounts for nearly 2 years. And I had just finished sending the evidence to the company's board. At 2:13 p.m., his phone exploded with notifications. Emergency board meeting. Immediate attendance required. Then another. Your corporate accounts have been frozen. Then another. Security access revoked. Carter stared at his screen. No. Amber stood across the room. What did you do? He looked at her. I didn't do anything. She laughed. You're lying again. Then her own phone buzzed. She looked down. Her face changed. It was an email from the company. Employment terminated effective immediately. Amber slowly looked up. They fired me. Carter said nothing. Then her phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from me. You wanted to become his wife so badly. Congratulations. Now you can share his problems. Amber stared at the screen. Carter snatched the phone from her hand. Give me that. She ripped it back. You're the reason I lost everything. You were the one who climbed into the suitcase. And you were the one who told me you'd protect me. Carter's face darkened. I was going to. You were going to marry me with your wife's inheritance. Silence. Amber's eyes widened. You never planned to leave her because you loved me. Carter looked away. Amber laughed. You just wanted her money. Amber. You used me. He reached for her. She stepped backward. Don't touch me. For the first time, Amber looked genuinely disgusted by him. Then she pulled out her phone. I have recordings too. Carter froze. What? I recorded our conversations. His face went white. Why? Because I knew you were lying. She smiled bitterly. And now I'm going to give them to Claire. Carter stared at her in disbelief. You wouldn't. Amber's expression hardened. You destroyed my career. She walked toward the door. You destroyed my future. Then she turned around. So I'm going to destroy yours. That evening, I sat in a restaurant across town. Amber walked in. She looked terrible. I didn't invite her to sit. She sat anyway. You won. I smiled. No. I took a sip of wine. You lost. Amber frowned. What? You thought Carter was your prize. I leaned forward. He was your punishment. She went silent. Then she placed her phone on the table. I brought everything. I looked at the recordings. Good. She stared at me. You're not going to forgive me, are you? I laughed. Forgive you. I pushed the phone back toward her. No. Amber's face fell. But I will give you one opportunity to help yourself. What opportunity? Tell the truth. She swallowed. About Carter? About everything. I smiled. Because tomorrow morning, I'm filing for divorce. Amber's eyes widened. And after that, I stood. I'm taking every penny Carter tried to steal from me. I grabbed my purse. And I'm making sure he spends the rest of his life explaining why his wife, his mistress, his company, and his own bank accounts all turned against him. Amber watched me leave. She finally understood. I wasn't trying to get my old life back. I was taking theirs apart piece by piece. And I was enjoying every second of it. By the end of the month, Carter's entire life had collapsed. The company fired him after the financial records and recordings were investigated. The stolen money was recovered, his accounts were frozen, and the authorities opened a fraud investigation. His reputation disappeared overnight. The same executives who once shook his hand now refused to return his calls. His friends stopped answering. His relatives suddenly became very busy whenever he asked for help. And the house he had once planned to enjoy with Amber was sold to repay what he owed. Amber didn't fare much better. Her employment record was destroyed by the scandal, and the recording she voluntarily provided became part of the evidence against Carter. She tried moving to another city. Unfortunately for her, her reputation arrived first. Every company she applied to seemed to know exactly why she had left her previous job. Eventually, Amber had no choice but to start over somewhere far away, with none of the glamorous life Carter had promised her. As for Carter, he received a sentence for the financial crimes and conspiracy surrounding his wife's attempted murder. But the worst part for him wasn't prison. It was knowing that the fortune he had spent months scheming to obtain was now completely out of his reach. Because I kept it. Every legitimate asset that belonged to me was protected. Every account was secured. Every piece of evidence was preserved. And every lie he had told about me was publicly disproven. The fake depression diagnosis was exposed. The poisoning scheme was exposed. The affair was exposed. The murder plot was exposed. There was nowhere left for him to hide. 6 months later, I stood outside my new home. It was nothing like the apartment I had once shared with Carter. It was bright, spacious, surrounded by flowers, with enormous windows overlooking the ocean. I had sold the old apartment. I never wanted to see that place again. Instead, I used my inheritance to build something that belonged entirely to me. I also started my own investment company. Within months, it became wildly successful. People who once knew me only as Carter's quiet wife now knew my name. I traveled. I bought ridiculous amounts of books. I learned to cook badly and laughed about it. I adopted a spoiled little dog who slept across my bed every night. And most importantly, I woke up every morning without being afraid. One evening, I received a letter. It was from Carter. I opened it out of curiosity. Claire, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, But I still think about you. I wish we could go back. I stared at the letter. Then I laughed. Go back. To the woman who had pretended not to notice the poison? To the wife he planned to murder for her inheritance? To the woman he thought was too trusting to fight back? Absolutely not. I tore the letter in half, then into quarters. Then I threw it into the recycling bin. My phone rang. It was my lawyer. Everything is finalized. The divorce is officially complete. I smiled. Good. There is one more thing. What? The judge approved your claim for the remaining marital assets. I looked around my beautiful new home. Perfect. After hanging up, I walked outside. The sunset painted the sky gold. For a moment, I remembered the woman I had been in my first life. She had loved Carter, trusted him, protected his secrets, and died believing she had somehow failed as a wife. I felt no sadness for her anymore. She had done the best she could with the information she had. But this version of me? She knew better. I raised my glass toward the ocean. To my second life. Then I smiled. To never wasting it on people like them again. My phone buzzed one final time. A news alert appeared. Former executive Carter Hayes faces additional charges as investigation continues. I deleted the notification. I didn't need to watch him fall anymore. He had already fallen. And I had already won. I turned toward my house, where my dog was waiting impatiently at the door. Coming. I laughed and ran inside. For the first time in 2 lifetimes, my future belonged entirely to me. And this time, I intended to enjoy every single second of it.